people celebrated Halloween this week, and I thought it would be fun to cover a game not many people have heard of before. Carrier, a Sega Dreamcast exclusive from the year 2000, is a survival horror game that you can pick up at a relatively inexpensive price. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I can't get enough of bargain bin style games. Just like the Dreamcast Max Steel review I did, episode 15 of Our Story So Far TV, I was drawn to cover art and something that I knew was going to be obviously cheesy. Gameplay of Carrier is similar to the PC classic Alone in the Dark, or Resident Evil. Unlike those games, which take a 3D character and place them on top of a matte backdrop, Carrier takes place inside of an actual, fully 3D world. All of the rooms and objects are 3D models, which makes the stationary camera effect that much more puzzling. They're not necessary, since perspective of the 3D objects can change. But instead, the game utilizes the stationary camera effect of earlier horror games in order to control what you can, and more importantly, can't see. The game does feature a scanner device, which lets you switch to a first-person view. With this, you can spot enemies that might otherwise be invisible. But the scanner does take a moment to load and leaves you vulnerable while you try to decipher what you're seeing through the lens. Carrier's graphics are undoubtedly the best thing it has going for it. Although blocky by today's standards, the character models do include some subtle details. As I mentioned, the environments are well detailed, and it's typically not very hard to spot an item that might be of interest to you. Though checking locker after locker after locker can get tiresome. The lighting effects are very good. This was around the era when volumetric lighting and color variation really started to matter more in games. The 16-bit to 32-bit color palette transition. It definitely helps to set the mood. And the fact that you can look at the textures and see everything in fairly vivid detail without any dithering to reduce quality and improve performance shows that they were really doing their best to take advantage of the Dreamcast's hardware potential. The sound effects can be a little repetitive, but that's far from the worst part. The game intentionally features almost no music, so that they can throw in a musical spike to startle you whenever they feel the need. The voice acting isn't very good. It's obvious these were just the people in the office who weren't afraid to step in front of the microphone, not professional voice actors brought in for recording sessions.
Level 1 emergency. Sound the alarm. During a level 1 emergency, the emergency locks are all activated. To deactivate the locks, you need a code number. Steve, here, take this memo. The locks can be deactivated with this number. Steve, we are going to keep time.
So, what of the story? Well, the instruction manual and the intro cinematic tell the same tale, so let's see what we can put together from the two. There's so much backstory and exposition here. Let's see if we can cut through some of that with just the intro cinematics.
By the beginning of the 21st century, the North-South conflict had escalated to military confrontation. The people of the countries of the South, faced with an energy crisis and a food shortage, had developed a deep-seated hatred for the North, and as a result, anti-North terrorist groups began to show up all over the world. In response, the countries of the North joined together to create the Northern Hemisphere Treaty Alliance, NTA. The goal of this organization was to stop the Southern terrorists. In 2023, the NTA completed construction of the Heimdall aircraft carrier. With its staged defense system and connection to the satellite defense system, the Heimdall is like a steel wall, invulnerable to any sort of air-based attack. The first mission for the Heimdall was to attack the base of the Southern Cross terrorist group. This was called the Hurricane mission. During an attack that lasted only a few days, the base was completely destroyed, and the Heimdall was able to head back to its home port in North America. However, approximately 2 days of travel from port, the Heimdall fell silent, failing to respond to any communication from NTA. Concerned about the Heimdall, a Spark investigation team was put together and sent to determine what happened.
The setting is supposed to make you feel more isolated. All the while, the sense of urgency tends to pick up because you've lost control of a nuclear-powered vessel that's headed straight for the west coast of the United States. If the disease spreading among the crew of the Heimdall doesn't wreak havoc on the population, the nuclear detonation will. Still, everyone on board the carrier seems a little too calm about what's going on. Trained combat professionals or not, if you just watch your buddy mutate and try to eat your face and you had to shoot him, I would expect many more people to be reacting like this guy.
This monster looks like a human, but it's not. It's an inferior life form!
Hey, stop! Are you crazy?
I'm not crazy. I'm perfectly sane.
And not as many to be acting like this guy.
Figure it out. How you doing? I'm Alan.
I'm Sergeant Ingalls from Spark. I'm asking all survivors to go to the flight deck. You should go there too.
The flight deck? There are no safe places left on this here ship. Well, you must have noticed by now the whole ship is screwed up, son. It's impossible to tell who's on our side and who is not. You can't trust anyone but yourself. That means you too. Thanks. But I'll make my own decisions.
That's how you want it. Good luck. I've got work to do. Be careful.
You too.
I wanted to love this game. I really did. I thought it was a creepy game about vampires when I looked at the cover. As I played the game, I realized it must be more about zombies and people carrying the virus that turned them into these mindless drones. I was over an hour into the game before a friend of mine pointed out that the game takes place on a carrier, and that the title doesn't specifically mean it's all about people carrying the disease. I hadn't even made that connection. At the end of the day, Carrier was just not a scary game. I wanted my 31st episode to be released on Halloween, on October 31st, with a frightening game for everyone to enjoy. But I literally played this game after midnight with all the lights out and just ended up laughing at the bad acting. Even its jump scare moments didn't seem as good as Resident Evil's did 4 years earlier. The same bad acting might plague both games, but the Haunted Mansion vibe of Resident Evil seemed much creepier than anything I got to experience in this game. Sure, I didn't get very far in, and at some point you even changed characters, but I just put off writing this episode simply because I wished I had played a different game. The convoluted North versus South storyline, a nuclear carrier, was it a disease intentionally released by the Southern Cross to infect you, or something you accidentally contracted by gathering an undisclosed biological sample? Everything's so convoluted. You might be on an aircraft carrier fighting carriers of a zombifying disease, but the only thing that needs help being carried in this game is our story so far. Hey everybody, thanks for watching episode 31 of Our Story So Far TV. I'm sorry it wasn't a better game, but you know, I apologize for the game itself, I guess. It is what it is. I hope you still enjoyed the episode, and if you want to catch other episodes, they're always archived online over at ourstorysofar.tv. Likes, comments, and subscriptions are always appreciated. As always, I'll have a new episode ready in 2 weeks. I'll try to find something better for you next time. And hey, if you're a fan of Carrier for the Dreamcast, please, by all means, leave a comment, let me know. Tell me I should have just kept playing, get a little further in the game, and maybe it gets more interesting. I don't know. But anyway, until next time, take care of yourself.